My name is Dante. I'm from a town in the south of Cordoba called Santa Catalina. Holberg, but I've been living for a while in a southern Santa Fe town near Venado Tuerto. My story has to do with one of the trips I made from where I currently live to Holberg, in my own car. I've taken this road many times and never has anything strange happened to me. Some say when it's your time, and it will mark a turning point in your life. Today I can attest that this is true. Thank you. I left home that afternoon and began the trip, not expecting what would happen. For those unaware, take Route 8 to Rio Cuarto, then it's just a few more kilometers to Santa Catalina. In total, it's about 250 more or less, about 3 hours, maybe a little more, depending on the route. Halfway there, I passed the roundabout at La Carlota, which marks the city's entrance. It was around 8:40 at night. I drove a few more kilometers and came across something shocking, and I'm sure anyone in my place would have gone through the same thing. Pure terror. With the car's high beams on, I saw a woman standing motionless on the shoulder with something unusual about her. First of all, the most obvious thing was that she was in total darkness because the only light was coming from my car. She also had something else on her chest. At first, I thought it was a backpack or something like that. But then, as I got closer, I saw it in more detail. And actually, I'm almost sure it was a baby, because she was even holding it with both hands, like someone carrying a child. And just like that, it was wrapped in some kind of blanket, which could easily have been a sling or something similar. As soon as I saw her, I slowed down a lot, because honestly I thought she would signal me asking for a ride or help, but no, she just didn't. She stayed still in that spot, in the middle of the darkness, and stared at me as I approached. I can't explain what I felt, because it's really hard to do, but basically in my head I realized that something was wrong. But without knowing what, it could be described as a premonition. I made the decision to try to stop and ask if he needed help, but honestly, I regretted it. Because just as I passed by him in the car, of course, inside the vehicle, an extremely strong smell appeared out of nowhere. Really strong, but it wasn't just any smell. And here I want to tell you that I'm currently a police officer. I was in the military for many years, so I know very well how to tell the smell of a dead body, and not just an animal. The car was filled with a strong smell of a human corpse. The windows were closed, the ventilation too, and of course outside smells can still eventually get into the vehicle. But this was different, because I insist it happened as soon as I passed by this woman. But it wasn't just that. This lady, her soul or whatever it was, appeared sitting in the back seat of my car. I had never stopped moving. He was so intense that he barely let me breathe. It was just a split second, but she was there, and I decided not to look in the mirror anymore. The impact was so strong that for several miles I just focused on watching the road. But I felt she was behind me. I knew she was behind me. I could smell her. I felt an extreme cold and I didn't know what to do. The only thing I could do was pray on our Father while I was driving. I had no idea if this was useful or not, but there weren't many options. I was in the middle of Route 8 in a place where there's nothing for miles, and it was completely dark outside. If I stopped, what was I supposed to do? I kept trying to focus only on the road. I didn't want to speed up too much and have an accident, so I had two options. One plan was to reach the Alejandro Roca access, where I expected a police checkpoint with lights, but when I passed, I saw there was nothing there. So the second option was the best and the only one left, to keep going. There were about 45 kilometers left to the town of Reducion, and you know what? The smell of death lingered with me, unchanged in idea and intensity. Only about 2 kilometers before entering, where the road makes an S-curve, did the smell start to dissipate very, very slowly. I saw a gas station, parked very badly. In fact, I got out without even turning off the car, left the door open, and walked away. I took a deep breath. I'll never forget it. Honestly, my whole body was shaking. I've faced risky, complicated situations before, but this was different. With no way to defend yourself, you don't know what to do or how to react. It's very complicated. I went into the shop at the gas station, grabbed a water, and went to pay for it. And how did I look? The girl asked me if I was okay and if I needed help. I told her I wasn't okay, and I told her everything in detail. I didn't care if they thought I was crazy. I just wanted to release all the bad things that happened to me by sharing them, even with a stranger. The strangest thing was something. Maybe the smell I sensed was just my imagination. The brain can make us perceive non-existent smells during certain illnesses, even though many don't realize this. But pay attention, he got closer with El Playero, and it was him who, without knowing anything about what had happened, asked me about that nauseating rotten smell coming from the vehicle. He thought I had a dead animal stuck underneath, so he checked, but there was nothing there. That night I continued on my way. The smell faded after a few kilometers, and luckily I didn't smell it again. When I arrived, I met 3 friends waiting for dinner and told them everything. It was a relief to talk about it, but also to hear what Jorge, one of my friends, told me. He admitted he hadn't believed his cousin, a truck driver, who experienced the same thing as me. And almost in the same area of Route 8, that woman, that horrible feeling of having her inside the cabin, and of course that smell that followed him for miles. I tried to learn more about this. Who was that woman? Did she have an identity, and did she die in the area? Maybe in some accident, but I couldn't find out anything more than what I'm telling you. I'm certain everything that happened was real. I wasn't the only one to experience this, and I'm fully confident that many more people went through the same thing and just don't dare to talk about it. Those days I visited my mom, who still lives in the same house where I was born, and I told her everything that had happened. She believed me from the start and told me something I've often heard on the channel. The strong and putrid smell is a sign that we are in the presence of something evil. My name is Norberto, and I want to share something that happened to me and 2 others. It's something that stayed with me, and until now I haven't been able to get that look out of my mind. There was...
Oh, I bought a 4K and promised Gauchito Kilo I'd go to Corrientes to thank him since I wanted a red 4K. Well, we hit the road on a Friday night at 10 p.m. with my 2 friends, one in the back, me driving, and my buddy.
We were driving on Route 14 toward Corrientes province. The night was beautiful with perfect weather and temperature, and the road was calm with almost no traffic. The thing was that we saw, a few hundred meters away, maybe up to a kilometer or so, a tremendous glow on the right side of the road. We discussed it since it caught our attention, and we thought it could be someone with a powerful spotlight, maybe on a crane or similar. What were they doing? We had no idea, especially since we weren't locals, but it was the only thing that made sense. So, as we got closer, we came across something unbelievable, very strange, very curious. And I'd like to know, what do you think? And...
We saw a Peugeot 504. I get goosebumps telling you this and my eyes tear up. There was a 504 parked on the shoulder facing the field, but there was like a glow all behind the car. And there was a person who was behind the car at the trunk, but he was standing at attention. He was completely still. And I looked at him. I kept looking because we passed by slowly, and he was wearing pants. It was a white shirt. And, you know, he was looking at us, but he didn't move his head as we passed by. He just looked at us. Well, when the 3 of us looked at each other, of course, me and my friends, one of them says to me, "Norbert, please," he says, speed up, that's not normal," he tells me. Well, we started drinking, mate, you know, and we were getting close to the 3rd roundabout. And what did we see? Again, the same glow, the same glow.
Once again, we encountered the same thing. We didn't know the source of the intense light. It was even stranger to find ourselves with that same person in the same spot, with the same car parked, exactly the same. What, kilometers back? The 3 of us experienced this. It wasn't fatigue or a hallucination. It felt impossible, but it happened that night on Route 14. We sped up and didn't stop until we arrived. But it didn't end there. At a gas station shortly before arriving, we got out to eat and have coffee. And something happened there that you need to know, and...
One of the guys from the gas station, we parked there, I don't know, he greeted us very politely, I don't know. Of course, maybe he didn't see the scared look on our faces, I don't know. And we politely asked him if we could use the bathroom. The 3 of us went to the bathroom, and, well, in the bathroom we talked about what we had just gone through, the experience we had. I told one of the guys we shouldn't be afraid, but I was terrified. It took over my whole body, my legs, hands, arms, everywhere. We were all terrified. Well, the guy came when we got out of the bathroom and asked us if we were going to have breakfast. Yeah, we told him that if he had really hot coffee, that would be great. He gave us hot coffee, I don't know. He gave us 2 large croissants for free. What's that about? I can't forget it, the gesture that guy had with us. It was on the house. He asked where we were from, and we said we were from here, Buenos Aires, specifically Berazategui. And the guy looked at us, and I said to him, "You know what?" I said, "Something incredible happened to us that left us frozen and terrified. Honestly, it was terrible." He asked, well, what happened to you? I said, you knew we were coming like this. I told him everything. With all the details, he says, oh yeah, but you guys didn't stop, right? No, the car was going slowly, but we looked at him. Well, it's better that you didn't stop because that man was a doctor who went to help his daughter. She had gone off the road with her car on the side of the highway and died on the road. She died while going to help her daughter, and I swear I was overcome by a terrible fear. I felt the cold coming up from below, from under my shoes, rising up my legs. I just grabbed my face, cried and said, this can't be happening to me. He kept saying, no, don't be afraid, it doesn't do anything. It's just that the place where he died is along that path you crossed. Well, that was an experience we had. It's all true, because honestly, yeah, it's something that still gets to me today. I get this anxiety that I feel right here in my throat thinking, no, how could this have happened to me? Something like this had never happened to me before. And actually, we got to El Gaucho, turned around, and when we passed by there, we didn't even look.
We couldn't believe what this man was saying, as it confirmed everything was real and revealed the origin of the manifestation. There were many people who, without a doubt, saw it, while thousands of people passed by there without even knowing about it. So, the mystery isn't why it appears, because we already know that. The question is, why us?